Thanks for listening to the Thyroid Fixer podcast with your host, me, Dr. Amie Hornaman, aka the Thyroid Fixer. Also, functional medicine practitioner, hormone and weight loss expert. We're talking all things thyroid, hormone, and health related in order to empower, educate, and transform you. Remember, I fix your thyroid, I fix your hormones, I fix your life. So let's get started. I want to talk about Hashimoto's and your antibodies and what those actually mean. So how do you know if you have Hashimoto's or not? So this is going to be a game changer for you, and you can probably hear the excitement in my voice. The latest introduction, the latest member of the family to the Fixer line is Metabolism Fixer. And this, oh my God, I formulated this just for all my people out there that need to lose weight, that need help in the weight loss department, that can't lose weight no matter what they do, that feel like they have a slow metabolism, and that might be thinking of trying all those peptides out there, you know, the Beverly Hills soccer mom drug of choice for weight loss peptides. Or even if you're on them already and you're like, man, these are really expensive and I'm still not losing weight, add in Metabolism Fixer. Here's what I did. I took the power of T2, which increases your basal metabolic rate while you are sitting there watching Netflix. You're burning fat while you're watching Netflix. I combined it with a very unique patented ingredient called Suppressa. Suppressa has multiple clinical trials backing its efficacy in reducing your appetite, decreasing snacking, and providing way more control over your food intake. It is amazing. We also see improved emotional well-being, just decreased food cravings all around, reduced hunger, and weight management. Add on top of that, we have green tea extract, we have purple forest purple tea extract, both of which affect the metabolism in a very positive way without the jitters of normal fat burning supplements out there from the 1980s and 90s, right? The ones that made you feel like you're having a heart attack. You will not have that in any of my supplements, Thyroid Fixer or Metabolism Fixer. But Metabolism Fixer, ooh, yeah, we kicked it up a notch. It is in powder form, so you can drink it through your day. It's going to flavor your water. We got orange crush and refreshing citrus. I love them both. It is going to keep you under control all day long. So you throw a couple scoops in your water bottle in the morning, throw a scoop or two in your water bottle throughout the day. You will have fat burning and appetite control the entire day for what? An eighth of a price of the peptides? Oh my God, you can't go wrong. So grab some Metabolism Fixer today. Please let me know how you do on it. I am super excited for you. Super excited. Well, first of all, there's functional and then there's optimal lab value ranges. So if you grab your labs and you look at, and hopefully your doctor actually tested both antibodies, because there are two. I can't tell you how many times I see lab reports from people that I'm working with and their doctor tested only one antibody. There are two antibodies to Hashimoto's. So there's TPO, thyroid peroxidase, and TGA, thyroglobulin antibody. Those two are markers for Hashimoto's. Now let's back up. We know that 95% of hypothyroidism is the autoimmune form Hashimoto's. So that's where your immune system is confused. You got these soldiers, they're going out and attacking. If you're new to this podcast and you're like, what is she talking about the soldiers? Keep listening to my podcast because I talk about this all the time. I use the analogy of when you have an autoimmune condition, you have little soldiers, and those little soldiers want to go out and attack because they're just confused and they think your thyroid is the bad guy. So you have these soldiers, and the TPO and TGA are markers to see how many you actually have. Now, depending on your lab, will depend on what the reference range is. So it might be, I've seen less than 20, less than 34, less than 9. It's all over the place depending on which lab. But that's their cutoff. So however the lab tests your blood, they have that reference range set that if you have 5 antibodies, TPO antibodies, but their cutoff is less than 20, then you technically, quote unquote, don't have Hashimoto's. I'm going to argue that point, however. Before I argue, though, let's look at how they get any reference range, any one. So I don't care if you're looking at TSH, if you're looking at testosterone, anytime they get a reference range or the medical community develops a reference range for a lab marker, it is taken from a large population of people. And it's taken from a lot of sick people. So they're not saying, listen, dude, you're overweight and you hit McDonald's every day. And girlfriend, you're sitting on the couch knitting and you're 50 pounds overweight and you have heart disease. They're not taking those people out. They're taking markers from a huge population. And really, I mean, what does our population look like? Have you ever gone to the mall, or I challenge you, if you go to like an amusement park, especially Disney. I did this years ago before Disney went cray-cray a little bit. I did this at Disney. My parents loved going down there. So I would go down. I've been going to Disney since I was 9. But even when I would go in my 20s with my parents, my dad and I would play this game. We'd sit back, we'd look at all the people walking by. And I said, let's play a game and count how many fit, like healthy, fit people we see in an entire day, because you figure Disney is a cross section of America. And I mean, people from other countries come in too. So it's really a cross section of the world, but it's a huge cross section of America. At any given point of time at Disney World, you will have someone representing every single state in the country. So I said, let's play a game and count how many fit people there are. FIT, fit, not sick, fit. By the end of the day, I think we would have like 9. I mean, we've seen thousands of people walk by us in the lines, in the food lines, in the restaurants, on the rides. 9 lean, fit, healthy people in the cross section of America. So really, that's what we're pulling from, folks. We're pulling from the standard American diet. We're pulling from sedentary lifestyle. We're pulling from sitting in your chair all day kind of people, eating sheets, eating McDonald's, eating the processed foods that are out there. And that's what gives the lab their standard range. Now, on the flip side, functional medicine comes in and says, give me those fit people. We'll take those 9 fit people you saw at Disney. Give me the badasses, give me the lean people, give me the healthy people. And that's what we want to look at to get the optimal range. So we want that bullseye in your lab saying, this is where we want you, because this is where you are going to feel your best. That's how we get optimal. So when we're looking at Hashimoto's, when we're looking at those antibodies, I want them at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, I'm going to digress for a hot second. I have another podcast called Don't Hang Your Hat on Your Labs. I want them at 0. However, you being at 0 for your antibodies does not dictate or determine whether or not you're optimized. It just means that you have put your Hashimoto's into suppression, into remission. And that's fantastic, because we don't want those soldiers going out and beating up your thyroid. That's great. But I also want to look at your free T3 and reverse T3 to determine whether you're optimal and ask you those 4 important words. How do you feel? So that's going to determine whether you're optimal or not your antibodies being at 0. I'm more looking at the antibody numbers when I'm first diagnosing someone, first treating, first seeing, first figuring it out. And when I see those antibodies come in at a 5, a 9, a 3, a 10, but it's less than that reference range, so it didn't get flagged high, I still say, let's treat this like Hashimoto's, because you still have 5 soldiers, you still have 10 soldiers, you still have 19 soldiers, even though the cutoff is 20, beating up your thyroid gland. Are you going to wait until you actually crest over that number, until you've built up an army of 50, of 100, of 1,000, and now you're 20 pounds heavier, you're on your couch, you can't get up, you're too damn tired to work, and you're bald? Are you going to wait till that point in time to do something? Are you going to listen to your doctor who tells you, no, you're normal, everything's fine? There's nothing to see here, but yet you're suffering with symptoms? Are you really going to wait until you crest that sick people, overweight, eating at sheets, standard lab value range, so you can be amongst all the sick people too? Or do you want to be optimal? Do you want to be amazing? Do you want to be in optimization land where it's really super fun? Do you want to be your badass self that you're meant to be? That's in the optimal range. See, I'm going off on a tangent again. My tangent applies to all labs, by the way, not just thyroid, hormones too, testosterone too. I could argue that that's going to be a different podcast. I can't go off on too many tangents, down too many rabbit holes. Trying to stay with you with Hashimoto's here. So Hashimoto antibodies, we want them at 0. If there are any antibodies there, then that is the presence of Hashimoto's. Now, can we talk just briefly before I let you go? I want to talk briefly about the stages of Hashimoto's. There are 6 stages of Hashimoto's. So if your antibodies are just coming in at that under the standard lab value range, 6, 9, whatever, 3, 10, 19, but you're not yet flagged, you are most likely in the beginning stages of Hashimoto's. So how we move through those stages is stage 1, you have that genetic predisposition to autoimmune. So we know that Hashimoto's is autoimmune. We talked about the soldiers. You have that genetic predisposition. So you can look back in your family, your mom, your dad, your sisters, your aunt, your grandparents, look back to see who had any other kind of autoimmune. Now, it doesn't have to be Hashimoto's. It could be something like type 1 diabetes, psoriasis, lupus, Crohn's, celiac disease. Maybe they had that, but that's still an autoimmune genetic predisposition. So then we move on to you, and we say stage 1 is that genetic predisposition to an autoimmune condition. As we're moving into stage 2, the presence of antibodies will most likely be there. Symptoms will start to appear, but your actual thyroid numbers, that TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, will still kind of be in a decent range. It might be normal, but not optimal, but they're going to start to just kind of shift a little bit. Stage 3, you have symptoms for sure. And your thyroid numbers are starting to go a little bit wonky, to even the point where you might actually get flagged. Like your doctor actually might pay attention to the fact that your TSH is a 5. So you might actually start to get flagged. But in functional medicine, if you're in stage 3, I'm going to start seeing things in your labs, and it's not going to be pretty, and you're not going to be optimal. As you move through these stages, and that's why we really want to catch you in the beginning stages, but even if you're at the end, that's fine. We can do things to fix you and reverse that. So as you move through those stages, especially as you get closer and closer to stage 5 and 6, you are set up for more autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune begets autoimmune. Where we see one, we see more than one. That's why we want to catch things in the beginning. That's why my argument applies. Do we want to wait until you have a multitude of antibodies and you're getting worse and your thyroid numbers are tanking and you have an abundance of symptoms? Do we want to wait till that point, or do we want to do something right now? I'm going to say we want to do something right now. So hopefully that helps you understand how I look at those 2 antibody tests, the TPO and TGA, why I want them at 0, and why any number. I can't tell you the amount of times I've said to people, did anybody tell you had Hashimoto's? No. I'm like, well, you got these soldiers right here. You know, there's 9, there's 5. You might want to address this now until you, not wait until you get worse, right? So hopefully that helps you understand the stages of Hashimoto's and also why we want those antibodies at 0. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope you loved it. And as always, if you would be so kind to leave a review if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, that would be absolutely amazing. I read all of them. Also, anything that you hear on this podcast is not intended to diagnose or treat any kind of medical condition. So we always recommend that you check with your medical provider, your doctor, your nurse practitioner before implementing anything that you hear on this podcast. And if you want to find out more about working together, you can click the link below in the show notes to book a discovery call. And there you'll be talking to a member of my team. They are an extension of me. They are amazing. And you and I will talk after that once we get you all signed up and you and I get to work together. All right. I hope to see you soon.